How's everybody doing today? And welcome to another episode of Horror and Stuff. Today we are ranking one of the best horror franchises of all time, and that is the Child's Play / Chucky series. We are not doing the TV show within this ranking, it's just the movies. I'm going to be doing a review for the season 1 TV show after this. But yeah, we're just doing the movies, and sorry about the noise outside. People are pulling up, being loud. But yeah, I love Chucky and the Child's Play movies a lot. These are ones that I did not really get to experience whenever I was younger as much. I saw bits and pieces of some of them as I was growing up, but I never actually got to watch the full movies until I was an adult. And re-exploring a lot of these movies, I rewatched all of them in release order before doing this, just to refresh myself and get a brand new outlook on these movies. All right, and starting it off with number 8 is going to be the only movie in this entire franchise that I don't like. It is a bad film, and that is Seed of Chucky. And the only two performances that are good in this film are Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly. And and even their performances, as good as they are, don't take away from what I think is some of the worst writing in this entire franchise. Chucky is not fun, not interesting. He's not scary even. There's nothing about Chucky to like except for just the performance of Chucky. And then Jennifer Tilly, as always, plays her character fantastic, but it's just not good. And even like Redman, he was never just an amazing actor, but this was my least favorite performance from Redman in any movie he's been in. I love the movie like How High, and yeah, it was disappointing. And then a lot of people say that they enjoy the fact that there's the trans character in it, which I would, but I don't think that it gives the character that it is not the representation that I would want. I don't think. I'm not trans, but for the trans community, I don't think that a character that when it gets nervous, it pees itself, and when that character goes into presenting as female, it becomes a psychopathic killer. I don't get it. I didn't like it. I think it wasn't like one of the worst films ever made. It just wasn't for me, and I just don't like this movie. I could do without it. Anyway. Okay, coming in at number 7 is The Bride of Chucky. And the pair from Seed and Bride, these movies are so different from the rest of the series, of the franchise, that if these were made on their own before the rest of the franchise was made, I think that I would look at these differently, but it would be like me looking at like the original Leprechaun. movie or something like that, because they're so ridiculous. I don't like seeing Chucky as almost a, even though he's still killing people in these movies, the focus that they have on Chucky and Tiffany in these movies is very much like they're the protagonists, and that even though they're doing these evil deeds, like, they're fun and funny and we should like them, and there's nothing scary or creepy about these characters in either of these films. Bride of Chucky is a much better movie than Seed of Chucky. It has some really great kills and some really good moments in this movie, but I like the more horror focused, not as much comedy focused Chucky movies. So this one just doesn't hit for me. This is one that I did see bits and pieces of whenever I was much younger, and I always wanted to see it. So I did when I was older, and I loved it the first time I ever actually got to watch it, because this was the first movie that I ever actually got to see when I was a little bit older, and I absolutely loved it. But as time has gone on, this movie just doesn't play as well for me, especially compared to the rest of the franchise. All right, and coming in at number 6 is The Cult of Chucky, or Cult of Chucky, and this is one of the 2 films in the franchise that were actually straight to a streaming service. I believe it was Netflix. They went straight to Netflix at the time, and so watching this movie, this is one, Cult and Curse I had, and Cult, Curse, and the new remake were were 3 that I hadn't actually seen before, and I absolutely love this movie. So from 6 to 1, I love every single one of these movies, and the only downside to this film is in the last act, when all the different Chuckies are starting to come in to the facility, and they're having their 3-way interaction with each other, and they just kind of take over bodies at will, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's special anymore, that the curse isn't super special anymore. And if it wasn't even done in a way that made them even more terrifying, though, it was just kind of like it was kind of goofy the way that it was done. But with the last probably half hour of that movie, I guess, not there if it was done differently. The first hour of that movie, the first 2 acts are phenomenal. I love the characters in this film. It is absolutely fantastic. I love all of the mental patient characters and all of in their different personalities and how they interact with each other. That is just really fun to watch. And Fiona Dorff's character, Nika, I really enjoy that character and how she plays into the world. I think that it's really interesting that they got the voice actor of Chucky to play, or his daughter to play, basically one of his first victims right before he becomes Chucky, and that's really interesting. And her character is great in this film. The kills are great. The having Andy, the actual actor that played Andy as an adult, torturing the Chucky doll's head, and his interaction with Chucky during all that is some of my favorite parts in this film. But yeah, this is a really good film. I absolutely love this film. Moving on. Okay, and at number 5 we have Child's Play 3, which I know a lot of people don't like this movie for some reason. I don't know why. I like so the original 3 Chucky films do the best at Chucky being actually pretty creepy. They're some of the best at it, and the way that he's able to, hide and get kills on, adults, especially in a military school where these are actually, ranking military officers, is really fun. Having it in the military school was great. Having a new focal point, another new child for Chucky to have his focus on, and Andy kind of being more of a savior in this film was fantastic. Having live ammunition shootouts between these students, and one of them actually creating a kill, is great. I love the interactions of the different students in the boot camp, and then the carnival setting, and just everything about this movie is fantastic. It is a true Chucky film, and it is something that the 3 original movies are so good as a trilogy, and it has one of the best Chucky deaths in the franchise, in my opinion. So good. Coming in at number 4 is one that I think that people are going to start being worried that it's as far down as it is now, being like, what the heck? But my number 4 is Child's Play 2. And this is some of the most peak. This is peak Chucky. Absolutely fantastic film. Having, Andy be in a new environment with new people, and finding a way to keep that same character in 3 films, and even just from the first to the second film, finding a way for that child character to be in a second film with a new family, new people taking care of him, and have them be interesting. Having I forget her name, the other girl that is also a foster child. She's fantastic. Her interactions with Andy, even when you think that she might get mad at Andy at some points, she doesn't. She actually cares for this child and tries to help him. She's one of the first ones she's the first one to start really believing him and not really giving him a lot of crap about believing in this killer doll. And the third act in this is fantastic when they're in the toy factory, and how everything plays out, and the kills that are happening throughout this film are just some peak Chucky in Child's Play. From 1 to 4, I can watch any of these 4 movies at any time. They are all so good. All right, coming in at number 3 is the original Child's Play. And the reason this one beat out number 2 for me is it has my absolute favorite moment. When Chucky is all burnt up and crisp, and it's made in 1988, and just the way that he looks when he's stalking Andy with the knife through the hall. And I know, and that's an iconic scene, but that scene is so good. It is so good. But I love the kills in this film. I actually think that the kills in this film are very impactful when they happen. They don't feel like normal slasher film kills. They feel like the accidents that people in the film believe that they are, and you're seeing why these people think that they're actually accidents, but you know better. And I really love that about this movie. And even like the first one, the nanny going out the window, and when she impacts into the car, it's like I felt it. And for a 1988 film to really make me feel that when a body hits a car from falling was really difficult for them to do back then. A lot of times it looked really fake and bad. This one did not. The kills are great. The acting is great in this film. The Andy as a child actor was actually phenomenal, and I really in 1, 2, and 3, and as a teenager he was great as well, and in Cult of Chucky with him as an adult. I really, like I said, my favorite moments were with him interacting with Chucky. And this is what I want from my Chucky films, is for it to be very downplayed and the kills to look super accidental and super impactful when they happen. And I want Chucky to be freaky, and in this movie he is freaky, and I love it. All right, and at number 2, and everybody's going, wait a minute. The 2 that you have should not be this high. The 2 left should not be this high, but they are, and I love them. And there are 2 that I actually hadn't watched before this series of watching. I watched all 8 movies within 2 days, and these last 2, oh my gosh. But number 2 is Curse of Chucky, and I love this movie. It was a very it was so dark, and you go from Seed of Chucky to this, and wow, you go from the goofiest, ridiculous, nonsensical movie to this dark Chucky's back to being a malevolent this malevolent force that you just don't know what he's going to do, what's going to happen. The kills are super impactful. The very first kill, or not the first kill, the second kill, and when they're sitting around eating, and you're like, who's it gonna be? Which one of them is it? It's kind of easy to kind of figure out which one it's gonna be, just because of the importance of the characters, but you're still questioning. And I love that. The kills in this movie are fantastic, and Chucky is back to just being evil, and that's what he needs to be. I want my villains to be villains, and I want them to be interesting, and he was super interesting, and he was a villain in this film. And this one felt more like a slasher film than a lot of the other ones did, because he's hunting them in this film. And man, I cannot tell you again how much I absolutely love this film. All right, and at number 1 is, and everybody's gonna hate me for this, and that's okay, but it is the new Reboot, Child's Play 2019. And I know, Don Mancini, this is the only one that he did not take part in writing the screenplay for, and this movie should never been made. So for anybody that doesn't know, what happened is MGM still owns the rights to Child's Play 1, the very first Child's Play movie. Don Mancini, I believe, or another production company owns the rights to the rest of them. MGM decided they were going to reboot the franchise and asked Don Mancini if he wanted to, and Don said no, and they did it anyway. And they made this, and it is a brand new take on Chucky. Instead of being a malevolent voodoo spirit from a serial killer, it is a learning AI that actually does not start off as a malevolent force, but it is an AI that has had all of its safeguards taken off by a programmer that in I think it was Vietnam, a programmer in Vietnam got mad and depressed about his work, so he takes all the safeguards off of one chip and then commits suicide. And that doll gets into the hands of Andy. It's the character from the first film, but he is a teenager instead of like a 6-year-old child in this movie. And the cast, okay, for anybody that is wondering, the level of expertise in the filmmaking in this film, the cast that they have for this film is top tier. The sound, the music, everything in this film is top tier quality. And you can make that argument about some of the other films, but only about a couple of the characters in each film. This film has the best cast out of all the films. It has some of the best cinematography, I can never say that word correctly, in any of the films. This looks like a professionally done, like high-end blockbuster horror film, modern horror film. And it is so fantastic to watch Chucky go from this just broken AI that wants to be Andy's friend to this obsessive like obsessive killer, almost obsessive killer, like significant other type, like archetype, where if I can't have you, no one can, and I'm going to kill all of them so that me and you can be together, basically. And it is done so well. And Mark Hamill playing Chucky. I love Mark Hamill, but it was almost like a robotic, downplayed Joker. Like Mark Hamill's Joker, but like kind of downplayed a little bit, and just, of course, robotic to fit the because it's a robot. It's not actually a possessed doll. I wish that they would have gotten, if they could have gotten the original Chucky voice actor, this movie would have been absolutely perfect, except for the one fatal flaw, the most fatal flaw in this entire film, and that is the design of the doll, and it is hideous. But I can overlook that because of how good this film was. From start to finish, this is an amazing film. Sorry to anybody that thinks otherwise, but I think you're wrong. Sorry. But yeah, so that's my list. If you loved it, awesome. If you hated it, awesome. If you would, please leave a like and comment, and we can talk about it. And tell me your rankings. Alright. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you later.